Hey guys, what's going on? I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is slightly different from normal, but it's also kind of the same. I'm sure like me, a lot of you have seen a few videos about the new chat report system that is being added to the newest versions of Minecraft. I personally find it all very interesting, and while I was looking into how it all works, I was sent a GitHub repository with some supposed exploits that can apparently be used to abuse the new chat report system. This sent me down an even deeper rabbit hole of research and understanding. I soon realized that there is a huge amount of confusion about the new system, and all of the articles or videos I found on the topic are either extremely technical and hard to understand, while on the other hand there are a lot of videos and articles with opinions or basic overviews of the system with no real explanation on how it all works. So my goal with this video is to give a basic technical explanation on how the new chat system works, while also clearing up some of the confusion and questions people have. For anyone that wants a more technical breakdown of how everything works, I have linked an amazing video and some articles in the video's description. Today I would like to talk about how the new chat system works, some of the problems Mojang or Microsoft are facing, and some possible exploits that need to be addressed. Hey guys, it's Editing KiLAB here. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I have to quickly explain something. After finishing the script for this video, I sent it to a few people that know a lot more about the topic than I do to get their feedback. After a few people got back to me, I started recording and editing. I really should have waited one more day before doing this, as Azistral then got back to me with some amazing feedback. Unfortunately, it was too late for me to restart the whole audio recording and editing process, so I've gone back and added in his comments throughout the video. These comments clear up a few small mistakes I made, and some of them are just better explanations to what I already said. Huge shout out to Azistral and the Nodus client devs, ADA and Guildfish, as well as Commie and Matthew101Q for all of their help with this video. Before I get ahead of myself, I need to give a quick explanation of what the new chat report system is, for anyone that doesn't already know, and a quick recap can't hurt for those of you that do already know. Basically, with the release of Minecraft 1.19, Mojang, or I guess Microsoft, released a chat report system where players can select chat messages and report it for one of 9 categories. If you are reported and found guilty of sending messages related to hate speech, terrorism, child exploitation, sending threats, non-consensual intimate imagery, harassment, defamation, impersonation, self-harm, suicide, drugs or alcohol, your account will be either temporarily or permanently banned from connecting to any online servers. Your punishment will depend on the seriousness of the messages you sent. So if you are caught saying something borderline bad, you will likely be banned from connecting to any multiplayer servers for a short period of time. However, if you are caught saying truly horrible things, you may lose the ability to connect to multiplayer servers forever, effectively bricking your account and only leaving it to be used for single player worlds. This may seem extreme, but Microsoft has ensured that every case will be manually reviewed by a human before any punishments are given out. They have also made it clear that the people moderating chat reports will have a basic understanding of Minecraft, and that false positives will not be a likely occurrence. If by some small chance your account is falsely banned from playing on multiplayer servers, you will have the option to submit an appeal. This is one of those topics that is deceivingly complicated. I mean, how hard could it be to create and implement a chat reporting system into a block game? Well, the answer to this is way more complicated than you might first imagine. The first problem we run into is a problem of authenticity. How can Microsoft tell whether a message was even sent by a player? With the consequences being as big as they are, Microsoft needs to make sure that the messages being sent are real. It is extremely important to create a system where messages can be verified as authentic, otherwise bad actors could use fake messages to get innocent players banned. So to combat this, Microsoft made quite a few changes to how the chat system works. To start, all messages sent between players are now cryptographically signed. A few of you probably know what this means, but I'm going to give a basic explanation for everyone else. To explain it very simply, let's imagine a scene not related to Minecraft. Let's say one of my friends from another country wants to send me a message in a box, but he doesn't want anyone else along the way to open the box and read my message. He could then ask me to use some simple cryptography to generate 2 keys. One of the keys can only be used to lock the box, and the other key can only be used to unlock the box. The key that can only be used to lock the box is a public key. Anyone can view this key, as it again can only be used to lock the box. While the second key is the private key. It can be used to open the box. This key should never be shown to anyone because it would give them access to the letter inside of the box. I could then send my friend the public key, which he could use to lock the box. Even if people found out what the public key is, they will not be able to open the box or read my message. Once the box containing my message arrives, I can then use my private key to unlock the box and read my message. This way, only the sender and receiver know what was sent. It is very important to note that the private key can be used to generate the public key. However, the public key cannot be used to generate the private key. Now, this is where it gets really confusing, but stick with me. While a public key cannot be used to find a private key, they are both still mathematically linked. So again, you cannot use a public key to obtain the private key, but you can use the public key to verify whether the box was locked with the private key that is linked to the public key, without ever knowing what the private key is. Okay, so now that you know the basics of how public and private keys work, you may be wondering how this relates to the signed messages that have been added to Minecraft. Well, in the case of Minecraft's chat system, the messages are not being locked inside of boxes, but rather every message is signed with a private key that is automatically generated for you when you start your game. Right now, these keys are valid for 48 hours before a new pair of keys is automatically generated for you. Included in this signed message is your unique ID for your Minecraft account, your public key, and its expiry date. This means that when a message is reported, Microsoft can use your public key to verify whether or not you actually sent the message. No one can fake a message because they don't know what your private key is. When Microsoft first released the Minecraft 1.19 update, there were quite a few flaws in the system. I'm not going to discuss all of the initial flaws, but one of these flaws caused a lot of confusion, so I think it's best if I talk about it. In Minecraft 1.19, the private keys are stored unencrypted in a text file in your .minecraft folder. A lot of people were concerned that this would allow malicious mod developers to steal your key and effectively send fake messages from your account. These messages would be signed with your private key, and Mojang would not be able to tell the difference. But in reality, these keys are cached in your game's memory and bad actors could steal it from there. So even though Microsoft stopped storing private keys in a text file with the release of Minecraft 1.19.2, bad actors can still steal your private key from your game's cache. While knowing your private key doesn't let you fake other players' messages, it does allow you to inject your own fake messages, and because you know your private key, you can sign these messages. This allows you to trick someone into saying something, and then you can make a false report and add any messages of your liking to it. And Microsoft would not be able to tell that you injected your own fake message into the report. A few GitHub users have created a mod called Gaslight that allows you to do just this. In this example, you can see me tricking another player into saying yes. I can then insert my own messages and make it look like they were replying to a fake message. And once again, because the message is signed with my private key, Microsoft would not be able to tell that I injected my own fake messages into the report. You can also use this tool to delete messages you sent, and this can be used to take other players' messages out of context and make them look guilty. This has been fixed with the release of Minecraft 1.19.1. Microsoft added chained messages, which makes it obvious when a message is added in or removed. More on this later though. The creators of Gaslight have just released a second updated proof of concept. It is quite a bit more complicated, so I am not going to go into full detail on how it all works, but basically a server owner can send a delete chat message packet to the user at the moment that user receives a message. This means that you might not ever actually see or read a message, but it would still show up in a chat report. And I'm sure you can see how this could be used to insert messages into a chat report without the reported player ever knowing. The first problem we ran into was a problem of authenticity, while the second big problem is one of context. If a player posts a single terrible message and it gets reported, they will likely get banned. But now, what if it is a conversation between two or more players? And what if other players in the conversation are important in the context to the reported message? Well, Microsoft has already thought of this, and they have implemented a system to fix it. Things get pretty complicated here, so I am again going to give a basic explanation, but anyone looking for a full in-depth technical explanation can watch the video by Azistrel linked in the description. To give you a very simple explanation, every time you speak in chat, a chain of messages is created. This chain will start at the first message you send, and it will gather other messages you see and send. Every link in the chain is hashed, so removing or adding a link to the chain will break the previous chain, making it very obvious that someone has tampered with it. Every player has their own chain of messages, and when a report is made, a certain number of these messages from each side of the reported message are sent in for review. The people reviewing the messages can then compare the message chains and use messages for context surrounding the reported message. Again, this is quite hard to explain in detail, and Azistrel has already made a great explanation video, so anyone that wants to know more about this should watch his video. It is also important to note that as part of this message chain system, private messages or DMs are also stored even by players that did not receive a private message, but the contents of the message are not stored. So while it isn't possible to snoop on other players' DMs, it is possible to tell when DMs are sent, and it is possible to work out which player sent or received a DM. Another proof of concept mod called Girlboss was created to show how this works. This still works in Minecraft 1.19.2, and as you can see in the demonstration, it is pretty easy to tell when people send each other private messages. In total, the Nodus client devs have created 4 proof of concept mods. As mentioned earlier, Gaslight, the mod that can be used to change the context of messages, was semi-patched, although a more complicated version of it still works in Minecraft 1.19.2. The second mod they released was Girlboss. This mod allows you to tell when other players send each other private messages. The third mod they created is called Guardian. This mod again is fairly complicated to explain. Guardian allows you to block everyone on a server. Minecraft then saves the messages that these players send as received but not read because the players are blocked. Guardian, however, still allows you to read these messages. This means that when you are reported, none of the other messages are sent in for review as context because your game thinks you never read them. The fourth mod they created is called Gatekeep. This mod has been completely patched with the release of Minecraft 1.19.2. but it allowed you to kick other players from a server. It worked by letting your key pair expire. As mentioned earlier, these keys have a 48-hour lifespan, and before the release of 1.19.2, anyone who joined a server after your key pair expired would get disconnected from the server when you sent a message in chat. So to summarize, the new chat system is a lot more complicated than you might first have imagined. The system is far from perfect, and Mojang or Microsoft are going to have to fix a lot of the kinks before it becomes a usable and unexploitable system. Thankfully, server owners will be able to disable chat reporting on their servers, so the new system should not affect Anarchy servers like 2B2T if the server is ever updated to the newer versions of Minecraft. But this is all subject to change, and who knows, Microsoft could eventually make chat reporting a mandatory feature which would completely remove a very important part of Anarchy. Many people in the community are angry with Microsoft for adding this feature, and I myself am not a big fan of the new system. I have read so many comments of people making fun of Microsoft for their terrible implementation of the new chat system. I know it is a complicated system to add to the game, but I still think Microsoft should have waited and released a more polished version of the system to the game. Their half-made system has caused a lot of confusion and made a lot of people worried for the final update. I spoke to both Guildfish and ADA, the devs that created all of the proof of concept mods, and I was told ADA and I both think that it is likely not possible to actually implement the system how they wanted without major issues, simply due to the decentralized nature of the game. We have tried to come up with solutions to the currently unpatched exploits and haven't been able to think of solutions that don't introduce other exploits or other ways to bypass the solution. If Microsoft thinks server owners are not doing enough to combat rule breaking, it would have been a much better idea to empower server owners with vanilla versions of logblock/core protect, temporary bans and mutes. This once again does not give me much hope for the system and the future of Minecraft. And to make it clear, just because these two devs think this doesn't necessarily make it true. I have however heard similar conclusions from other devs in the community. I hope this video has cleared up a few questions that you may have had, and I hope it was understandable for people that are not familiar with the technology behind the new system. Again, if anyone watching this wants a more technical breakdown of all of these topics, there is a great video created by Azistral that I have linked in the video's description. I have also linked a few pages that explain some of these topics in more detail for anyone that is interested. Thank you so much for watching to the end of my video. I really appreciate your time. Seeing as you are still here, I assume you enjoyed the video, so please consider leaving a like and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss my $2,000 client giveaway when I get to 15,000 subscribers. I've also recently completely revamped the KiLAB gaming memberships area on my channel, so be sure to check out the benefits with the join button. Quick shout out to my members for all of their support. They help me make higher quality content more often. Anyways, it has been your boy KiLAB. Peace in the Middle East.